Joining us on the program right now from the Independent Women's Forum, our friend Julie Gunlock. How you doing?
Hey there.
Hey there. How are you?
Hey there. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. It's good talking with you once again. And thanks for having me out to the Women's Lead Conference last week.
Oh, you were the best. We were the best panel, weren't we?
I think we were the best panel. I mean, the panel with Ash Gow was pretty good, too. But
Yeah,
I think
absolutely. I mean, the whole day was great, but honestly, we were the coolest. Don't give credit to anyone else, Cam. Come on.
Well, I do have to say, it was a lot of fun. The time just flew by, honestly. That was a very quick 45-minute panel. You were fantastic. Julie Kelly was great. Anne-Marie Burkle was really, really interesting, talking about the regulatory aspect of the culture of alarmism. And frankly, it was a lot of fun. So again, I appreciate you having me.
But I really want to especially thank you because I've been on a lot of panels, and the moderator matters. The moderator, that should be a hashtag, moderator matters. Honestly, it does. And man, there's I don't know that I'm very good at moderating. Moderating is really hard. You have to keep the conversation going. You have to ask relevant questions. You have to listen to the answers and then ask follow-up questions. And you were great. So a huge thank you to you for, that was the last panel of the day, right before the cocktail hour started. So it's hard to keep people's attention, I think. And you were just fantastic. So thanks again.
Well, thank you very much. A good portion of the audience actually did stick around, and they didn't wander off to grab their wine early. So, so thank you for that. Because now, Julie, I have to disagree with you.
Oh no!
I know. Isn't that awful? Not awful.
Are you? Okay. Go on. I want to hear this.
So you got a piece at Heat Street right now.
Yeah.
Bear parenting. A welcome break from the helicopter parenting of today.
How could you disagree with me on this?
Japan's bear parents, who, by the way, I can't even keep up with this now. We had the gorilla parents. Now we have the bear parents. The bear parents are in Japan. As Julie writes, they left their 7-year-old son in a bear-infested forest to teach him a lesson about not throwing rocks at cars. Who hasn't wanted to abandon their misbehaving brat in a bear-infested forest, says Julie. So the parents here of this 7-year-old son, they're in this rural area in Japan. He's throwing rocks at cars. To teach their kid a lesson, you say they pulled the car over, they ordered their son out, and then they drove off thinking, okay, we'll come right back and we'll scare the bejeebers out of our kid. Only he wandered off, and then 6 days later they found him, right?
Yeah,
alive
God.
And well, right?
It's fine.
See, it's fine.
Everything worked out.
Yeah. Sure, as you say, little Yamoto's real-life voyage to where the wild things are was terrifying and totally unnecessary. Yet in a day and age where fewer kids are actually disciplined in any real way, at least these parents tried to send their kids a message, however misguided they may have been in their approach.
Too much, Cam? Too much?
I don't think you get points for trying in that case. I think the points deducted kind of balance out the points for trying. Can't even give an A for effort there.
It was the kid's fault for wandering off, okay? So, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I mean, really. No, look, I see where you're going, and yeah, maybe I went a little too far saying that, but look, we have extremes now. We have either zero discipline or we have insane discipline like Yamato's parents, but I don't think people are disciplining like they used to, and that's why we have problems like bullying in this country. Everybody, you should see look, I know you have young kids too,
mm-hmm.
And, for instance, my kids come home with a piece of paper that says it's the anti-bullying pledge, okay? Yeah, because a kid signs his name to this, so that absolutely solves the problem. What schools don't do is they don't talk to parents. They don't talk to parents about, are you actually disciplining your kids? Are you teaching your kids things like the golden rule?
Yeah.
And look, we've got some significant problems with bullying in this country, and nobody wants to talk about the real problem, and that is crappy parents. Look, I was just trying to say that in a day, I really do think that we have an absence of discipline in this country. I don't think people discipline, and they don't discipline properly. It's sort of screaming at kids and then not really trying to instill in them a concept of right and wrong. And so, I was only saying that, my goodness, here's a guy who's trying to send a message to his son. It went terribly wrong. And I said that about 20 times in the article. It went terribly wrong. And I didn't say that dropping your kids off on the side of the road is a proper way to parent.
No, I know you did not.
But it is different. It's very different than how most people are parenting today.
You know how they have at the mall the Build-A-Bear workshops, Julie? You know how they have those?
Yes.
I'm thinking maybe this could be your franchise. You could have the bear-oriented discipline, something like that. We got to come up with some sort of acronym, right? Where you just go in.
There are tiger moms.
Right,
There are now bear parents.
Bear parents.
There's the gorilla parents.
You got a little
go
bear pit
zoo.
at the mall. You just drop your kids off. We'll be back in 10 minutes, kid. And think about what you've done.
It's like the Hunger Games. If you survive, you get to come home.
I realize, and of course, you and I rarely really disagree. So I had to find my disagreement with you somewhere, just because I wanted to create conflict and tension for dramatic effect. But I do realize that you were using this sort of as a springboard to a serious point of where is the discipline? And it's interesting because as a father myself. And my youngest kids are 11. I've got a 15-year-old son in the house right now, too. So they're at the age where they're old enough to think of snarky comebacks to each other. And it's just this constant revolving musical chair of insults and snark. And they're okay with it, right? Mostly. But it tires me out listening to it, right? So we've had these conversations where I tell my own kids, listen, you need to learn to respect each other. And over the last, I'd say maybe year or so, it's gotten a little bit better. Like we have we have this saying from, I don't even know where it began. It began on family vacation years ago. We just had a crummy family vacation. It seemed like everything was going wrong. And I went and I bought everybody a shark tooth. And I said, we're team shark tooth. We're all in this together. And so that's sort of my go-to code now. When I see them, snipping at each other like a little bit too much, it's, hey, remember, team shark tooth. And it kind of serves as that reset, right? Of okay, we're back on the same page. And that way I don't need to yell at my kids and I don't need to scream at them about, them being, disrespectful to others or things like that. It's just that sort of gentle reminder because they've been getting that message all along, hopefully.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really important part. And look, their brothers and a child's brothers and sisters are their first friends, really. And so I think it's a real learning opportunity if you teach your children to be respectful to one another. Look, I have 3 boys. They fight all the time, but they really do play well together and they love each other. And we're at that same phase where, I sometimes hear one of them saying one of the other brother's name 5 times. Jack, 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 Jack. And I end up I sort of yell back to the car, look, answer him. What is wrong with you? He said your name 5 times, and so trying to instill in them a respect for each other, I think, will extend to their other friendships and their other relationships later down the line. And I think some people just think that fighting among a family is sort of natural, and they don't even really pay attention to those relationships. But I think those are the most critical. My mom and dad did not have any patience for any kind of brutal fighting between me and my sister. I mean, snipping at one another is one thing, and we always had to show each other respect. So I think that's really solid parenting advice. And again, there's all sorts of different styles of parenting. But I think we should all agree that teaching kids the golden rule, teaching them respect for others, is really important. And again, with this Japanese father, look, his kid was throwing rocks at cars. That's a huge problem. That is a serious, serious problem. You can actually really harm somebody by doing that. So, he was probably understandably outraged. Not the best form of discipline, leaving his kid on the side of the road. But again, I at least give the guy a little bit of credit. Look, I'm not one of these I'm not part of the horde of better parents who like to, sort of vent their spleens online. And I think this poor father got enough from those hordes. But I wanted to at least point out the one thing that I noticed that was different from most parenting today, and that was his willingness to discipline his kid.
Yes, and I understand now that this has probably been turned into a Japanese game show, Julie.
Probably.
where the
not.
host dresses up as a bear, and then they see which kid can last the longest without flipping out.
I tune in.
Yeah, I'm sure. Of course you would. Are you kidding?
course I would.
We know that you would. And look, and here's the thing: that dad, as bad a decision as that was, that dad went 6 days not knowing whether or not his son was alive or dead.
Yeah, torture.
I have a feeling that that dad learned his lesson probably about 20 minutes into.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting
know.
to contemplate what they're like around each other now. Like the kid's probably like, "Whoa, Dad, sorry." You know.
Oh, the kid's going
I
to
didn't
file
mean
for
to.
emancipation as soon as he's legally
Right,
eligible to do so. He's out of there. Or he's going to become a naturalist. One.
The next Bear Grylls. The Bear Grylls of Japan.
Talking with Julie Gunlock of the Independent Women's Forum. Now, you also have a piece at National Review, not nearly as strange as the parents who left their kid with in the bear-infested forest, but a little bit closer to home, actually. This I think impacts perhaps many, many more people. The food Marxists at the FDA is your piece at National Review. Scientists disagree on how much salt we should consume, but that doesn't matter to the government, Julie.
No, it doesn't. I know we're running up against time here, so I won't go on too much, but it really is a scary turn of events. The FDA is ignoring science and pursuing some regulations that really could harm people.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I would encourage folks to read it. We've got it to tweet it at Cam and Company. Hope that you enjoy another week of summer vacation with your semi-feral children.
I will.
Excellent. We'll talk to you again very soon.
Thanks so much for having me on.
My pleasure. Julie Gunlock joins us from the Independent Women's Forum on NRA News, Cam and Company.